Hello and welcome to another episode of the Winning with Shopify podcast. For anyone that's not tuned in before, oh my gosh, where have you been? We've had such amazing guests recently, sharing some incredible stories, some great advice. We also run a thing called Growth Hub, so check out www.podcast.com, all one word, so that's Winning with Shopify podcast, but www.podcast.com. Check out our website, head over to Growth Hub, it's just a page in the nav, and join the Growth Hub. It's for brands and merchants only, people like yourself. You can talk to each other, discuss stuff. We've got some incredible guests coming to round tables. It's completely free. There is no reason not to join. So if you haven't joined yet, you are a complete numpty. Please get involved. You're not really a numpty, but I would love you to join in with what we're doing on there. That would be amazing. So the big topic, TikTok. How do you make millions on TikTok? Well, I recently recorded a trailer saying that there was no secret way to make millions on TikTok, and there isn't. But I did have an incredible guest today who's gone viral on Instagram. Instagram themselves, with their 80 million followers, shared a couple of her posts, and she was inundated with a 2-year waiting list of customers as a result of one post. And then a couple of years later, TikTok launched. She has over 300,000 followers on TikTok, which for a business where she is one person in the business is absolutely incredible. I have my hit list of topics. If you haven't tuned in before, this is one of my favorite bits of the show, is relaying some of the random things we spoke about. So we spoke about preserving bugs, getting lucky, graduation caps, waiting lists. We spoke loads about TikTok, obviously, going viral, how to build a 2-year waiting list of customers. So you don't need to do any marketing for at least 2 years. Then also, how do you future-proof that up to nearly 7 years out of paranoia? So exciting. Kim's got such a cool journey. Automating email, AI bots, planning for catastrophes, creating an argument on social media by saying the wrong thing on a news outlet, being interviewed on national news in the US, social stories, getting irrelevant followers and how to avoid them, inviting conversation from customers on social, and abandoned cart. No reason not to tune into this episode and listen to every single word that comes from Kim. She is absolutely incredible. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, leave us a review, and join the Growth Hub. Thanks for tuning in. So Kim, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Yes, very well, thank you, very well. And if anyone's looking at Kim and I and going, Nick, you look a bit tired, and Kim, like, what time is it where you are? Kim, what time is it where you
It,
are right
it is
now?
the middle of the night. It is 1 a.m. and I'm wide awake.
And why on earth are you wide awake at 1 a.m.?
So, funny story, I've always just been like a night owl. And then when I became an adult and was able to make my own routine and schedules, I found that my brain is on fire at night, and during the day, it's just a haze. So, I usually work from about 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., and that's my normal schedule. So, I really like 1 a.m. interviews.
Yeah. I was never quite that intense with it. It was never quite as late as that. But I've always been a bit of a night owl. Like 2 a.m. would be a normal bedtime for me, and I wake up at 9 or 10 in the morning. But since getting married, I now go to bed at 8 p.m. and wake up at 6 a.m. So we
Oh,
have a very
yeah.
long sleep every
I'm
night.
non
But
functional before noon.
yeah, indeed, I do find myself trying to go to sleep at night, and my brain's like now at a million miles an hour. I'm like, where was all this energy during the day when I needed it? Um,
Exactly.
but um, But anyway, look, Kim, it's lovely to have you on the show.
Thank
We ask
you.
all of our guests when we first start, so when we first kick off, tell us a little bit about yourself, and most importantly, tell us a bit about the business as well. Like, what kind of business do you run?
Well, who I am and my business go hand in hand. I've always been a super crafty, creative, artistic person. I've had a million hobbies over the course of my life. And, I never planned on owning a business. It just kind of happened and morphed into it because I was the crafty friend and the artistic friend. I was in college and I had some girlfriends, a year older who were graduating, and it was this new thing to start decorating your grad caps, and they had not one artistic bone in their body, and they asked me. I used to make the posters for our clubs and all that good stuff. And they're like, "Hey, we know you paint. Can you help us decorate our caps?" I was like, "Sure, never done it before," but I helped them out. And then a year later, I did my own cap and a handful of other people. And as soon as we uploaded all those photos to social media, like it blew up in a way that I can't even explain until we get into the social media aspect of it. But yeah, I tried to go the traditional route and get a job in what I studied for, which was to be a school translator, work with children in Spanish and English. And I only lasted a month before I realized that it was just not for me. And my business was calling my name, and I was just being pulled towards it, because who does arts and crafts full time? That wasn't a thing for me to realistically jump into until I did. And then here I am, 9 years later, full time. who I am just became my business. I tend to monetize all of my hobbies and things I used to do for fun, I now do for business. And it's been really great to pour myself into what I do.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm going to ask a completely off-topic question just because you raised it. You said you've had a million hobbies. What was the most random hobby? And then we'll talk about grad caps.
Oh, I don't know if I'm ready to to show the world. Okay, random, very random, and kind of recent. I started preserving bugs in resin, like dead bugs. I'm very afraid of bugs, and I saw a dead wasp one day, and because it was dead, I was able to look at it closer, and it made me less scared of it. And I was like, you know what? I should preserve it. And now I have a very small little bug collection. I actually have a dried dragonfly that my godson found, and I'm very excited to put it in resin. But it is a very weird hobby that not a lot of people understand, but I like it, and it's very random.
That is creative. Are you one of those people that like when you walk around any kind of shop, instead of buying an item, you go, I could grow that, I could make that, I could
Yep,
cut that, I could create a better version than that? Yeah, yeah, I've got a couple of friends
absolutely.
like that, and they yeah, what one of them, we literally were buying tomatoes in the supermarket, and he was like, I could just buy a tomato plant instead of buying 20 of those and make my own
I'm also
tomatoes.
I'm also a
And next
plant
thing you know, on
lady.
eBay, he's like top tomato plant seller of the year on
Yes.
eBay. It's
I'm a
like, what are you
plant
doing?
I'm a plant person, and that's probably the only hobby I have that I have not monetized. It's for fun. It's
Wow.
purely for fun, but I grow my own
Yeah, yeah.
cilantro, chilies, all that good stuff.
Nice, nice. Anyway, as I said, we'll talk about grad cats, but thank you for that. That
Yes.
was absolutely brilliant. It's certainly not what I was expecting at all. But yeah, let's talk about grad caps then. So you said like you helped some friends decorate stuff, and I guess in a weird way, like proof of concept as a business, it must have been quite. And I guess if you've never done it the other way, you might not know. But I think from my perspective, it looks like it was quite a good kind of accident, or not necessarily a good way of testing out, is this going to be a viable business by it just kind of taking off, rather than what so many entrepreneurs, myself included, have done, is gone like, I need to find a challenge, like, and you go looking for stuff, and then you find like 20 things, and one of them kind of works, 19 have been a failure, it's wasted money, but actually you kind of fell into it. It's like, how did you go from like, okay, social media is taking off, like how did it take off, what platforms, and how did you go from that to then, right, I'm now doing this for other people, like just customers, people I don't know?
Well, it's so hard to attribute, like, entrepreneurs are very hardworking people. They're the most hardworking people. And I don't want to take away from the hard work that I've done over the years, but I also have to acknowledge the amount of pure luck that I've had and support that I've had, from word of mouth of people. And then I did get lucky, whether that's going viral or other experiences that I'll get into. But the first, big strike of luck business lottery win was I first started doing my grad caps, and I opened, a separate Instagram for them because I was making crafts, I was making everything under the sun. And I decided to make a page solely for grad caps. And it wasn't even a month in when Instagram, like at Instagram, contacted me and said, hey, spring's coming up. We saw your page and we have never seen anybody solely dedicate themselves to grad caps. Would it be okay if we feature you? And I was like, what do you mean feature me? And they posted my page on the main Instagram account that has 80 million followers. And overnight, after that post was shared, I had 25,000 followers and a 3-year wait list. So that I have to attribute to pure luck that, my page was found. But the thing is I had already had my established crafts business where I had the skills, I had the ability to take that luck and run with it and be able to fulfill orders compared to people that go viral overnight and they have to figure out shipping and they have to figure out production and they don't know how to do it yet because they got lucky, but they didn't have the preparation. And that's kind of where it went hand in hand. So after that share and that post, things just kind of took off, and I started, taking deposits and figuring out how to take custom orders for strangers instead of it just being a friend or a friend of a friend or a family member. I had to figure out how to communicate with people from all over the world and take secure orders and fulfill those. Um, so it was a very crazy experience, but thankfully, through the years of I had making crafts and all this hand painted stuff, not necessarily grad caps, I had that preparation of being able to just take it and run. But it's pretty surreal to just kind of blow up overnight. But this was already after a few years of having a little crafts business compared to being a total newbie.
Yep.
So
Yeah, yeah.
pretty crazy.
Wow, and yeah, and I hear what you're saying about luck, and I appreciate you sharing that because I think sometimes you mentioned entrepreneurs. We also can be so proud at times, going like, "I built this business from the ground up," and like kind of talk about
Yeah.
like all the failures you've been through and all the stress and the it cost me two marriages and all this kind of stuff. Actually, sometimes we do get lucky.
It's like a billionaire not attributing their family wealth to their self-made title, you know?
I often use the analogy though that like we're all going to get lucky at times. Like there's, I mean, I run an agency. There's times I meet that right person, bang, we got a nice big client, and it's like, and it all just kind of falls into place. And then I'm kind of sitting there going, here's me working so hard on podcast content, events, networking, like agency partnerships, keeping our integrity good, and out of nowhere we've got a new biggest client. Like nothing to do with me. But I always say like if you want to roll a six on the dice, roll the dice more often. And I think you've got to be in the right place at the right time, or you're definitely not going to get those opportunities. And I think you're in the right place at the right time. Someone at Instagram found you because you were doing something. It
Yes,
wasn't
exactly, because I
because,
was
yeah,
pouring my efforts into content that I was
exactly.
found. So you gotta lay the
Yeah, yeah.
pebbles to make the path, you know?
Exactly, exactly. I think we could come out with analogies all day. I love the pebble one actually.
I
That's
love
quite good.
it.
I might steal that.
I'm very
Um,
proud of it.
yeah, yeah. So when was that? When did you have that kind of big boom on Instagram? When did that
That
start?
was, I believe, 2018 or so. Yeah, I had already had it like my crafts business for a while, and I had recently just kind of branched into the caps side of it. Because as soon as I that blew up, I kind of just left everything else behind, and I found a passion in grad caps. And over the years, it's piled on top of each other. Then you add in, TikTok when that became a thing, and then I was featured in the New York Times because a writer happened to find my Instagram page. Like so many big breaks, like we were talking about, but it took a lot of work to get there and a lot of learning along the way, especially with social media that changes so rapidly in the trends and the algorithms, and you got to keep up with all of that. You know, it's so hard when all I want to do is paint, and now I have to be a photographer and a website creator and a content creator, and there's so many hats that business owners wear.
Yeah, yeah. And I sometimes say, like, if I went back to see 15-year-old Nick and said to the little 15-year-old version of me, like, you're going to be doing HR and finance and these other things, and also you're going to enjoy it, I'd be like, go
Yeah.
away. I'm
You're
changing careers.
crazy.
Absolutely not. Yes. But it's really interesting, actually. So 2018, you had this big break with Instagram, which is quite cool. We're going to talk about TikTok in a huge amount of detail in a minute, guys, because actually Kim's got one of the biggest business followings I've seen for certainly such a, I don't mean this in a rude way, but such a small operation with
Very
such a big
niche.
following. It's very niche indeed.
Yes.
Um, but how did you go? So Instagram, how did you go from Instagram have posted to getting that 3-year waiting list? Like, what was the technology behind it? What was that process? Was that people landing on your Shopify store? Was it an old WooCommerce site? Like, what was the tech behind it at the time that you had in place to make
So
that work?
I didn't have, I had to figure out a way. I knew there was going to be an influx. I wasn't sure of what massive, how many people, but I knew I had to be prepared. So I didn't have products at the time that could be purchased on hand, but also, you know, I don't know, graduation time wasn't necessarily right there. So I had to figure out a way where I could take all of these people coming in, take their information, and then contact them when the time came. So that way I can convert those followers into customers. So what I did was instead of, linking anything to my Shopify that they could purchase necessarily, I had items. Um, but I guess to be able to answer this question, I have to explain a little bit of how I take orders. I do custom orders of hand painted caps, and those are reserved 2 years in advance. And then I have ready to go, ready to ship digitally created cap toppers that I can ship out right away. So I have an e-commerce type direction of my website, and then I have a more custom ordered direction of my website. So I did have those ready to ship items ready to go, but in my head, my moneymaker is my custom work. That's the unique thing that people wanted. So what I did was I created basically an informational form. What's your email? Do you have an idea for your cap? And when are you graduating? And so from there, I got thousands of applications, and I just sorted them into folders. These are my 2025 grads, my 2026 grads, my 2027 grads. And then I figured out a way to book out, which for me was booking out 2 years in advance. So for all the people that, applied for a 2027 cap, they're like, hey, I'm a freshman in high school, but can I book you for my college graduation? And I'd be like, yes, give me your info and I will email you 2 years beforehand with everything you need to know on how to place a deposit, and then your order secured, and we will talk right before your graduation. And that's how I ended up booking out 2 years in advance, and having this booked wait list, because there's only so much I can do that's hand painted. So as soon as I fill out those spots, I contact the customer, excuse me, and I say, you know what, I am fully booked for this now, but here are my other options. Check out my website. I've got handmade glitter toppers that you can customize. I've got customizable designs. I have pre-made designs that, you could just pick one and do that. And so all the customers that I had to turn away still became customers, because 80% of them ended up being like, well, I can't draw, I can't decorate. I'm just going to order something and then just stick it on my cap. So even when I lost, I won. And I just got really lucky, but I also had the smarts to be able to convert all of those people coming in into future customers. Um, where sometimes if you only have a ready to go product and you don't have enough, you have to turn them away and then they go to someone else. So I was able to just and then I was also really lucky, like you said, to have a very different, very niche business where they almost didn't really have too many people to go to back then. So, I didn't have as much competition back then as obviously there is now. There's way more creators who do what I do, but it was a crazy time. It was a crazy morning to wake up to.
Good, good. And I love the fact that you had such a customized process for everyone. Did you literally email everyone individually then? And do you still do that? Or actually, have you eventually created like a workflow system to go on this date, send this email? It's the same email that everybody gets and they reply and I put them into a system. Like, have you automated any of it? Or are you still like, no, I'm talking to customers, every single one to one and doing it manually?
Like I said, I'm good at painting and I have learned how to do social media, but I am not a tech person. So I do everything one by one. Every single person who fills out an application, I personally email them back. And I've, of course, automated it to I have copy paste responses. Any question that anyone asks me, I have a prompt ready to go. I've created little shortcuts on my laptop where I could type in one letter and it'll fill in this paragraph answering their question. So I have figured out ways to do it. But even right before this interview, I was answering applications, one by one. And also, I want to be able to see if they have a question that I can answer. Um, it's very hard for me to ask for help, so I don't hire people really to do this. I like to do it myself. And that effort has, what I give out, it comes back to me, and I've noticed that. Um, so yeah, I do everything myself. I haven't quite figured out how to automate it, but maybe one day I will.
I do think though that I mean I quoted quite a few people over the last few weeks actually, so I won't name any names, but lots of business owners that I've met, from a CEO who's got their own Netflix series and thousands of staff down to like small team of 5 or 6 where the CEO is now taking a bit of a back seat and the business runs itself. The owners are still messaging customers directly, and I think it's just so powerful. There's nothing worse than walking into, and as a marketing agency, we talk to lots and lots of brands. There's nothing worse than walking into a team and they start saying like, we're not about that, we're about this, and you're kind of sitting there going, I think your customers hate that. And actually, I think that is stopping you generating more revenue. Like when they run a particular sale and you're kind of sitting there going, that new sale you're running at the moment is on products that no one wants. Like you're running a sale to get rid of crap. Like that is all you're focused on here. When actually you should be going, what do customers need right now? What's seasonality? What are some of their problems? And for yourself as well, like you're doing all the right things. I think of like you're looking at the time that they're actually going to graduate. When do I need to get in touch early enough? And as you say, even when they're like, oh, I don't really know what I want on it or whatever, you say, here is a menu to choose from.
Yeah, and I
There's
will
nothing
have
worse than
help
a
during, sorry to
mm,
cut you off.
yeah, yeah, no, no.
I will have help during like the busy season, which is March through June, where I'll have my mom or my boyfriend or a friend handle my emails. But and then they can see the time that they graduate and sort them into those folders I've already created. But I have them keep an eye out for any specialized questions that I need to answer, and I'll have them flag those emails so I can always go back and, give that personal touch and make sure whoever's reaching out actually gets the answer that they need. Which I feel like once you're as big as Amazon and you're talking with a customer service agent where you're not really like getting the help you need sometimes.
Yeah, no one
Um,
cares anymore at that level. It's really
exactly.
frustrating. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I want them to know that they're speaking with Kim from Kim's Custom Caps, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I even saw a business recently. I think it was something my wife and I ordered for the house, and I got a video back from the founder, and I thought, oh, here we go. This is a, the pessimist in me. This is a generic video, but it was literally the founder going like, "Hey Nick, I just thought I'd send you a video rather than trying to explain this on email. Actually, looking at the color of your room and the item you probably want, I think you should go down this route. And here are some examples on the email of that product and how it would work. Whatever." And I was literally saying to my wife like, "We're buying from them, right?" And she was like, "But they're the most expensive." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, but we're buying from them, right?
Yeah, he
Like,
took the
this
time
isn't
to
like
really
walking into
cater
a
to
shop."
me.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, and I think it's that personal touch is so important. It doesn't always have to be the founder. I've had it before where like you have an issue with something, you contact customer service, and I think I said this last week as well. There's nothing worse than the same, different names popping up on every customer service email, even from a big corporate company. It's like if Sam's talking to me, let her send every single message to me. Like this is the craziest bit. Even if it's someone different every time, just make sure Sam is always the person that comes up every time. Like that. That's what I want to. That's the person I want to engage with, or at least feel like I'm talking to the same person every
You don't
time.
wanna feel like you're talking to a robot because then you just lose interest. Everybody's losing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And unless the robot's more useful than humans, I have had that on AI quite a few times recently, where it's like, "Where's my order? Here's my order number," and they're like, "Oh, good morning, Nick," and I've not even told them my name. It's like, "Good morning, Nick," and it's an instant reply, and I'm like, "Human couldn't do it that quickly." And actually, I quite appreciate the speed of just your item's going to be delivered tomorrow. And you're like, "Great! Is there anything else I can help you with?" Nope. You almost feel like saying thank you to the AI. Like, thanks,
And
mate.
there are
Um,
certain features available now through chat where you have like common questions and they can click which one and you can have your answer already kind of there, and that helps a lot. But yeah, I wish I was a computer. Wish I could just, clone myself and have a customer service version of me and a content creator version of me and then the painter version of me, but you got to do it all.
Yeah, yeah. That is the art, I think, of growing a team. And I know plenty of people that are trying to run similar business to mine, and they're not people. They're not willing to learn how to manage people and how to multiply themselves. And there's always that rule of accepting 90% perfection from any one of your team and accepting that. Whereas there's still that inkling in me to be like, nope, it's not perfect. I'm not satisfied.
Yeah,
It's
you
not even
have
going
to
to deal with
fight wanting to do it all
that.
yourself. That's what I struggle with.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. And I think that, yeah, once you start to get the rewards of that, or you trust your first person that you've hired, it does start to get easier. And I can vouch for that. But hiring in itself, I mean, we could do a whole episode on it. It's, yeah, I've made all the mistakes that there are to make, I think, over the years, and all the successes as well. But let's talk about TikTok. Biggest hot topic, I would say, in the social world, and will continue to be so. Um, about TikTok, like how long have you been on it? What do you think's working on it? And how have you got? I mean, you got over 300,000 followers, which for a business, as I say, like one person doing almost everything, as we're saying, in a business is incredible. Like I think you've done an incredible job on there. Does your email marketing suck? Do you wish it converted better and integrated better with your store? Well, there is a solution. We've partnered with Seguno, who are an email platform that is built into Shopify, which means you don't have to leave Shopify to go and manage your email campaigns. So you can run your marketing at the same place you run your shop. To learn more, you can claim your free customer analysis and strategy session and visit seguno.com/winning with Shopify. That's seguno.com/winning with Shopify. Seguno is made for merchants, not marketers. What's your secret? Tell us. And I'm sure it's nothing but hard work, but tell us the process of how you got to where you are today.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, my headphone is like kind of disconnecting and getting a little staticky, so let me know if you have any issues. But TikTok, it's so funny that you mentioned like if I'm afraid of losing it because there was a minute there where I really thought it was going to get banned. So what I did was post a video and be like, hey, in case this goes down with the ship. If you're graduating this year, or anytime in the future, fill out an application and I will reach out to you when it's time. It went viral and I have applications up until 2039. Moms, signing up for their current kindergarteners. And so
What?
yeah, I
That's
swear
amazing.
it is. And I call
Wow.
that job security. So
Yeah. No, that is incredible. Yeah, yeah.
yes. So the way I got started with TikTok, it wasn't even intentional. I didn't even intend to use this. I didn't intend to learn a whole new platform, let alone intend to use it for work. the pandemic happened. I downloaded it just for fun. I didn't even post work-related videos at first. I think I posted like a little craft on how to make like a swinging plant decoration, and that got quite a bit of views, like about 200,000, which I was like, wow, like my Instagram could never get 200,000 likes. They're very different platforms. Instagram is very follower directed. Now a little less, but usually they only see your content if they follow you. TikTok, your content goes out to everyone, whether they follow you or not. And that's the powerful part of it. So I started posting painting videos and they were getting views, and then, one will get more than the other. And, and then sometimes you go viral for the wrong reasons. So what happened is I started posting my work videos. I could see an influx of sales because these videos were going out to people who didn't already follow me, who didn't know that decorating grad caps was a thing. People were sharing and I could see an influx in it. But I guess where I really saw the increase in a change and getting bigger is I posted a video where I misspoke about something. I was interviewed by I don't want to get it wrong again. I was interviewed by a news station, right? Meant for Latinos, Hispanics, and I'm bilingual. So I was on it and I was doing a voiceover while I was painting, speaking about how I was invited to be on this, and I called it a Mexican news show, which actually it is Mexican owned, so I was not wrong, but I was attacked in the comments about why does it have to be Mexican? Why is everybody I am Mexican. I am first generation Latina, Hispanic, and I just wasn't aware of the terminology. It wasn't meant to be offensive, nor do I actually think it was offensive. I just don't think it was as inclusive as it should have been. So anyway, people fighting in the comments. All of this happened while I was asleep. So I woke up to about 5,000
So it was in the
comments.
middle of the day then. That would be
Yes, it was about, 1 p.m. Um,
Yeah.
because my strategy, we can get into this later, is to post and ghost. Post it and go to sleep. Close the app, and then whatever happens, happens, and I just wake up to it. So what I woke up to that day was 5,000 people in the comments, either correcting me, defending me, or fighting with each other over the terminology that I chose in my voiceover. And, that day was kind of, how do I fix this? How do I fix this? Because at the end of the day, one, it wasn't my intention. And two, this is now my business. On my personal page or personal pages, you can have your own opinions and piss off whoever you want. But on a business page, I would like to have a very professional front where, we keep the peace,
And it
especially when
affects customers. They want
it
to know where you stand on things. Yeah.
exactly. So I really didn't know about, it being not specifically Mexican owned, but I grew up in a Mexican household where we watched it and that was my truth. And so I started replying to all the really mean people in my comments saying, you don't really have to talk down upon me. Like, thank you for educating me on the way it should be. And then I had them replying, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. I was just like, really passionate. And I thought that, you were just calling us this. And I was like, no, thank you. Like, and I ended up keeping the peace with everybody. But the interesting part was all of this engagement on that post. I got so many orders overnight. I paid my rent in a day. Just that interaction. And there's people that use that strategy of, starting that little spark of drama to get engagement. That's not my favorite way to get views. But I know for other people it works because it gets people talking. So that was my first kind of experience with going viral. And it was a scary one. And I didn't want to go viral for that kind of reason ever again. But it
Yeah. I can
got
imagine the anxiety was quite high
yeah,
after that. But
I can't remember how many followers I got, but I got a lot of orders. I got a lot of followers. I got a lot of people following up on my kind of videos, where then I would drop info on how to order, what I actually do, and I turned those viewers into customers. And then just slowly my video content, I could see what worked and what didn't. I started kind of catering it to what it is now. So yeah, TikTok is insane when it comes to just going viral. It's a lot of luck, but again, you have to put in the work, make that content. Nothing's gonna go viral if you don't post. So you got to do the work. And I'm really lucky that my content is almost easy to make because I'm just recording what I'm doing. I don't have to go out of my way to make like, super unique. Okay, what trend is happening? I just record the cap that I'm painting that night, and I don't have to show my face. I don't really have to talk. My work kind of just shows for itself, and I feel like I've gotten really lucky in getting a following that appreciates what I do.
Yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of, and this can be a very personal, subjective comment, so please don't change your life on this, anyone listening. But I find a lot of content on, certainly when you're doom scrolling on TikTok and Instagram, a lot of it's kind of cool, it's kind of fun. But the thing that always cuts through is someone who's really skilled at something. The amount of videos I've seen of like just random, like, I don't know, an electrician who's designed the most incredible wiring diagram in a cupboard that no one's ever going to look at again. And you're like, that's actually really cool. Or like, I mean, art is a really obvious one of like, I love the videos where you got the giant canvas and someone's got a paint tin or something on a
And
rope and it just
and they're
swings.
just
Yeah. And
swinging it.
bang, and there's paint everywhere. And it's fascinating. I tried to do it once and it was a disaster. The whole canvas just went completely green. And I
Oh
was
no.
like, I've just created a green canvas. I've not done a splash at all.
Hey,
There's
it's art.
splashes
Someone will
outside of the
buy it.
canvas, but yeah, and it's someone somewhere. I'll say it's about the decline of the textile industry in the 1800s, and someone will pay money for it. But I do think like as soon as someone's skilled, there's always that kind of this is really cool. Actually, it's something I could never do. I've either always wondered or never wondered, and probably should have, how that thing is created.
It's so funny
I
you say
Yeah,
that. Today I saw a video of a man who does tie dyeing, and he tie dyed a beautiful mural on a shirt. And then I was reading through the comments because I had already followed him, but I kind of forgot. And I was like, "How did you do that with rubber bands and a shirt and paint?" And I was reading the comments, and people were saying, I've never thought tie dyeing was cool until I saw this. You have my follow. You are amazing. I would buy this in a heartbeat." And I was like, you are so skilled in what you do that you now have people paying thousands of dollars for a tie-dyed shirt. That is
yeah, yeah.
amazing.
Which is very 70s, isn't it?
Yes.
There's really old. I mean, as kids, it was quite fun. Like instead of throwing an old T-shirt out, Mum would be like, "Yeah, let's tie dye it." So I remember playing it with that kind of thing as a kid. But I do feel that. I mean, you kind of bring this back to all of you guys listening at home. Um, I do feel like so many businesses completely fail to show like the kind of the what I find fascinating, the how it's made, where it's made, who it's made by, and actually, that's what customers really want to see. And I do feel like it does just kind of get the knife and cut straight through the business into authenticity of like, are you like, where do these products even come from? We have a client who I know you guys listen, and I, I think I mentioned them last week as well. They do print on demand, and we're talking to them at the moment about saying, you are based on a really famous island just off the coast of the UK, it's British island, and you make everything on the island there in your factory. This needs to be front and center focus because your two or three biggest competitors in this big audit we did for them on there, that was actually off the back of Google advertising. What are your competitors saying versus what we're saying, and what could we say that we're not? And one of the biggest things was like everyone's bringing stuff in from Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, China, and shipping it into the UK. Actually, you just ship in raw material. In fact, some of the raw material comes from the UK itself, and that's a really cool
That's what
story.
sets
And
you
then showing like,
apart.
exactly. This is Gary, and Gary's made your t-shirt for you. Like, and this is Gary making a t-shirt or the same t-shirt you've ordered for another customer. That's an incredible piece of content. And so discussions, I've actually got a call in 23 minutes with them to find out like what can we and can't we say. And my team have already started writing the additional ad copy for it. But it's that kind of thing of going, what, as you say, what sets us apart, what's different, and then the most important part of the what's different, and this is where brands get that far, but I think still get it wrong, is what's different that customers care about and actually would make a purchase decision based on. Because
And
we have quite a few
you
clients
said,
that,
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah, no, I was gonna say we have quite a few clients that plant trees every time you place an order. But now there's all this stuff of like, okay, it's gonna take 30 years before that tree even starts actually soaking up any carbon. And if you look at the size of the tree, that's how much carbon we've absorbed. It's like less than a car in 2 years. Like it's not a lot. And actually we need to stop making or using carbon in the first place. And so it's like customers are seeing through it now. And actually, if I'm buying, I don't know, if I'm buying this microphone, as much as I want to help save the planet, I don't really care if you're planting trees or not. That's not the reason I bought this microphone. But if you told me it's all made from recycled materials that have been hoovered up out of the ocean, actually that's a bit more exciting. It's a bit more relevant to the product now, and that's quite exciting.
Right. You mentioned a keyword earlier, authenticity. Like that is the biggest thing I go for is I love doing voiceovers over my caps where I'm talking about why the graduate chose what they chose. I work with a lot of first generation graduates, as well as people who dedicate their caps to, their family members who have passed away or their parents. And I'm constantly telling the story behind the cap. I follow an Instagram called Humans of New York where they post pictures of people and then they share their story. Sorry, I've got my Shopify counter going on. I just got an order. But
Nice.
so
Yeah, yeah.
that's kind of my inspiration behind my page is I like to share the stories behind the cap, either the graduate story or my process behind painting it. And I think that's kind of what draws people in compared to having just a song playing over me painting. I try to keep it very authentic and let people know who I am on top of what I'm doing. And that's what sets you apart from people. Absolutely. Like you could be selling a blender, but what makes you and your company, more unique than the other blender sellers? And
Yeah,
that's
yeah. And for anyone
that's
listening, we were talking. Kim and I were talking about blenders before we hit record. So it was called Will It Blend. They're not making videos anymore. I checked the other day; they stopped a year or two ago. But they basically, we were chatting before we started. They went viral, and it wasn't so much like we've got a blender and there are loads of blenders on the market, and here's how we make it, or actually we reuse plastic or something. What they did is go, this blender will blend anything, and they put iPhones. And there's a video of the guy with like goggles on and an entire broom, and he was like pushing the broom into the blender, and there were just bits of like wood flying out of this thing, and it was like, and then he used to make jokes as well, going like, so that'll make a really good tomato sauce for your pasta. And it
I've
was like,
seen the
yeah,
same strategy with Tupperware where I mean,
yes.
selling Tupperware is boring, but then you put it under a car tire and it doesn't pop. That is
Mm.
that is some good Tupperware. It's that
My
same
wife just bought some
strategy.
glass Tupperware, which is a terrible idea, given that I carry these Tupperwares to work with me for my lunch a couple of days a week, and like, yeah, it's just I was like, that's a recipe for me to spend an hour cleaning up glass somewhere. Like, just can we get plastic ones, like kid safe ones for me? But I do think, I mean, certainly there's all the kind of how indestructible is this product. Like, I think phone case is an obvious one. There's a company in the UK called Mouse, Mous. We used to work with them a few years ago, but they have a really famous video that's gone viral of them dropping it off a really tall building in London onto the CEO's car. The only thing I think they got wrong is they looked like a tiny company because it was a tiny little 1 Series BMW, and loads of people were commenting on the videos when they put this thing out, going like, "How small's your company? Like, if the CEO's only got a little 1 Series." So then they had to release another video explaining that the CEO is actually a multimillionaire, but he chooses to drive a small car because he doesn't care about cars, and it also means he doesn't have to pay an emissions charge to drive into London every day and stuff like this. So like, it's like, oh, okay, but yeah, just you could have dropped it on like a Bentley or something expensive, and then at least it would have been like the car was damaged, but the phone survived, that sort of thing. But I guess last question from me, I think, and this is a big one we get from clients, and I'm sure you're thinking about this yourself as well. And a question we've had quite a lot. And we've got a community as well. And guys, I'm going to invite Kim into the community after this. I haven't even told her about it yet, but we've got our Shopify community, so come join if you can. There's been a couple of discussions about this, and the question really, Kim, is how do you track social beyond just like that ping you just got from Shopify saying you've had an order? Like, what metrics are you looking for to go, right, that post worked, that one didn't? Because as you say, going viral, it wasn't like I went viral and I got tons of orders. It was I went viral, then I had to do some work before a lot of those people became customers and actually deal with some of the PR fallout. Like, what should brands really be looking for when they're trying to grow a channel and get a bigger audience?
So when I first started on socials, I was so focused on numbers and how many likes I had and how many followers, and I was desperate to get those numbers up because I thought that that's what mattered. I was joining giveaways and doing loop giveaways and sending product to influencers and all this stuff. And those customers didn't always, I mean, those followers didn't always turn to customers because it was so unrelated to what I do. And I was so focused on numbers, but I was focusing on the wrong ones. Now I focus on engagement. And are people actually, commenting under your post? Are you creating captions that invite conversation? Are people sending your posts? I loved that update on Instagram where you now have the little arrow because I just made this kind of themed cap. I made a dental themed cap. Send this to someone is studying dentistry. And then you have that almost digital word of mouth going on. So my favorite thing to track is sending of the posts. Are people saving your post? Because especially for me, that I'm more of a seasonal product. If I post in November, are people saving this post for when March, April, May graduation season comes along? I look at those kind of things. But when it comes to Shopify in itself, and I go to my analytics, I'm looking at which socials are bringing in the most. I can see that Instagram is one of my biggest, so I pour a lot of my, um, efforts into that. I see my link tree is bringing in a lot, which I have linked on my TikTok. Okay, so I know people are looking there. Another thing that I'm looking at on my analytics on Shopify are my search terms. Okay, what are people searching that they're not finding? How can I make my listing descriptions and my titles more concise and more, helpful to the customer in finding what they're looking for? So those are usually the biggest things I look for. Also, abandoned carts. What percentage of people, what are they adding to their cart? I'm thinking in their brain, what's turning them away? Is it maybe the price? Okay, let's run a coupon code or a sale and email them. I take a lot of advantage of the Shopify apps. There are so many good ones out there that automate a lot. I'm not going to look through every single customer's email who has an abandoned cart. Thankfully, I learned how to automate that and have an app that can
Good, good.
automatically do that for me. So if you're not using the Shopify apps, like you are missing out on a lot of potential helpful things. And it's just getting in there. I didn't know how to do any of that. I just got in there and started basically online shopping and seeing what this could do for me and how it works for me. So yeah, it's just engagement, sending, saving, search terms. You got to see what works for you. I'm a very seasonal business, so I've obviously catered my, search and my research to those kind of things, which you would have to do for your own business and see what fits for you. But there's so many tools, you just got to use them.
Amazing. And I think the thing with Shopify apps, as an SEO guy, the only thing I'll say is just be careful with page speed, people. The amount of stores we come into and we find like 30 to 50% of the apps that are actually running in your code and slowing down page load, you're not even using. They're just left on, left active. So yeah, do be careful. But you're absolutely right, Kim. And I think that the thing a lot of thing a lot of brands I think make the mistake with Shopify apps is they constantly looking at shiny objects. I think what you got to do is take a step back and go like, first of all, who are my customers? What are they trying to do? What do I want to change? And now let's get some tech to make that happen. Sometimes you find a bit of tech by accident, turn it on and go, wow, that really worked. But all you've done is you've just missed that bit before, which is like, what do customers actually want? But just jumping back, I love what you've said about just avoiding irrelevant followers and actually inviting conversation. And I think that if I'm going to put any kind of headline on today, I think is that to engage with customers through social, it's inviting conversation. Whether it
Hmm.
was you saying the wrong thing on a news
Oh
studio and,
gosh,
and kind of
positive.
getting some stick
For
for
me,
it.
positive conversation,
Yes,
but
exactly. But you turned
conversation
even those negative
nonetheless.
conversations into positive. I
Yes.
mean, how detrimental is it? And this is an obvious one for all of us. I don't think any data says if you're thinking of buying a product and you see one negative thing that the brand's not replied to. Like we had a client years ago. You type in their name, and the second listing under their website on Google was, "Is this a scam?"
Oh,
And it was on a
wow.
forum,
That's
and you
terrible.
click on it, and the conclusion from about 100 customers, no, 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 no. But because they'd all replied, all the activity, Google had gone, well, this is relevant to the brands. They put it up for their own brand name. So part of our SEO remit was like, get rid of that. And we managed to contact, I think it was Money Saving Expert Forum in the UK, managed to contact them again to change the title, just saying like, this is, we use the term, it's misrepresentation, which is a law in the UK. You can't misrepresent something in advertising. And we said, your website is misrepresenting whether we're a scam or not, and we're absolutely not. And here's 100 customers on your own webpage saying that we're not. So you could put in brackets like solved at the start, which they did. And actually, Google moved it down now, going it's less relevant. But yeah, I think just those little comments, I think that positive conversation and actually replying to all the negativity, I think must be so
And
important.
just
So
questions in general. One of my favorite ones when I can't think of something to engage is, how much do you think this grab cap cost? And you got people being like, oh, I'd only pay $40 for that. People being like, no, she's so talented. It was 400. And it's so interesting to see that. So you just got to get creative in how to create that conversation.
yeah, it was like that dress years ago that went viral. Like, what
Yes.
color is the dress? So
Yes.
good.
Debate is your
Yeah,
friend.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, look, Kim, it's been so great to have you on. I really appreciate your time. I've got a whole notepad of notes, things I've learned, stuff I'm going to flag as well on some of our socials for people to come and listen to this. I hope you guys have enjoyed today as well. But Kim, final question: how can people reach out to you? Where can they follow you? Where can they find your website?
Definitely, I'm always posting on TikTok. I love posting the behind the scenes. That's just kind of the process. I get a lot more personal on my Instagram. If you watch my stories, I'm constantly hopping on and talking to people, answering questions, posting the video, repurposing it on another app, and then posting the final photo. So you kind of get the behind the scenes on one side, and you get the behind the scenes me and the final, photo on Instagram, but I'm very active on both. I've got a YouTube page and Facebook, but I just kind of trickle on there. Those are my two big ones. And I'm always available through DM. I've got my link everywhere. And I'm just happy to be here. You can find me
Cool.
if you look for
Um,
me.
yeah, most importantly, what is the handle? What do they need to type into TikTok and Instagram to find you though? What's
So
the handle?
you're gonna look up Kim's Custom Caps. And like I said, there's not a lot of graduation cap artists out there, so I might pop up if you search up graduation cap artist. Like I said, if you look for me, you can find me, but it'll be direct if you look up Kim's Custom Caps.
Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you so much, Kim. I really appreciate your time. It's been great to chat.
Thank you. It's been super exciting for me too. I'm gonna keep working all night.
Yes, you've just started. So have I. It's 9 a.m. here in the UK, so it's still
We
morning.
both have
But
a day ahead of us.
we do indeed. We do indeed. But anyway, great to have you with us. And for everyone listening at home, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you listening to the show. Please hit the subscribe button and come join the Growth Hub as well. And we are about to do a massive revamp as well, as I said earlier. So yeah, come join the journey with us and come engage with people like Kim and everybody else in there as well. So yeah, speak to you guys again next Friday. Make sure you tune in. Do you want to up your influencer marketing game? Do you want to meet more influencers, have a better working relationship with influencers? You might even be struggling to talk to them in the first place or even get them to talk about your product and post to their audiences. Well, at Winning with Shopify, we have teamed up with Affluencer, which is an app you can install on Shopify, and it comes with a 30-day trial. And even in those first 30 days, you can meet a load of influencers and start promoting your product. So there's no excuse. Go and install the app, start the 30-day trial, and give it a go yourself and see how you get on.